friends. Welcome to Red Ice Radio. Thank you very much for stopping by today, joining us for some Internet Talk Radio. My name is Henrik, and if you are a regular listener to this program and our website, you know what we are about. If not, if you're new to the program, go to our website, redicecreations.com. That's REDICE, creations.com. There you can find more information about what we do here, our radio program, our members area, and of course follow along in our news section. And today we have Andy Thomas with us. He is the author of 5 books. One I'd like to mention here right away is called Vital Signs, a complete guide to the crop circle mystery. It's the ultimate guide to the crop circles for newcomers and an essential summary for those already entranced into this very, very intriguing and interesting topic of crop circles. He's also currently working on a book called The Truth Agenda, and we'll talk more about that later on here in the program. And it has been focusing a lot on the crop circle phenomena, but it's also looked into many other areas that touch upon the mysteries, if you will, of this world. And he will also be one of the speakers at the Alternative View 2 in London, upcoming in about a month from now. He'll be giving a presentation called The Era of Turmoil and the Energy of Hope, that, as I understand it, will primarily focus on the election of Barack Obama, and despite that the same old guard, if you will, is behind Obama, it still is kind of a sign of a willingness for change, a spark of positivity, if you will. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the program as well. For you guys who want to come to the Alternative View, check out avii.co.uk or simply thealternativeview.co.uk for much more information on dates, tickets, accommodation, and of course the speakers. And again, we're only about a month away now, and I'm really looking forward to getting over there, seeing some of the presentations, and also hopefully meet some of you guys there as well. Andy has a few websites that we can mention here at the beginning of the program. vitalsciencepublishing.co.uk, but also take a look at swirlednews.com and changingtimes.org.uk. So with that, welcome to the program, Andy. Thank you very much for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Brilliant. I want to begin here to talk a little bit about crop circles. It's kind of good timing as well. We're coming into the May month here very soon, and this is usually, as far as I can tell, that this is when the crop circle season gets going for real, as it were. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your interest in crop circles. You've written a number of books on the subject. How did you get involved, and what got you hooked on this particular topic, Andy?
Well, I think the crop circles for many people have been things which have opened up a whole theme of questioning about the world around them, because you're dealing with a mystery. And when you have a mystery, you have to dig deeper to try to get down to the bottom of what's going on. And the problem we've had with crop circles has been, obviously, there's been so much skepticism and debunking that people have found themselves put off even looking at the subject. And yet, when you look at the evidence there is to say that there is something more going on than just men rushing around with bits of wood, it's actually quite astonishing how much evidence there is. And where I began with it was very much with just the basic knowledge that they had been around, but I didn't know much about them. And I was down in the West Country in the summer of 1991. And, of course, down in Wiltshire in particular, there are many, many crop circles every year. It's very much the epicenter for this mystery. And I was immediately struck in a very strange way with the fact that these astonishing, huge shapes could be appearing, and nobody that I spoke to could tell me where they were coming from or what was making them. And I was immediately passionate to know, and I found myself coming back from that visit absolutely in another place in my head. And so I then discovered, of course, there were many other people researching them, and I became involved. And I live in a county called Sussex, which is sort of about 50 miles south of London on the south coast of England. And I got together with people in Sussex who were also researching crop circles, and then we formed our own organisation, Southern Circular Research. So, we very much look after, if you like, the crop circles which appear in East and West Sussex and try to just keep tabs on what's going on. We photograph them, we measure them, and of course, we network with other people all around the world who are doing, very important work in trying to show that there is something going on here. And as I say, the evidence, when you look at it, is truly extraordinary. And because of that adventure of questioning began by the mystery of crop circles, many people, and including myself very much, have found themselves on a whole journey of the mind, investigating so many other mysteries and cover-ups and things which now are, very much at the forefront of people's minds. So I think that's what's exciting about crop circles, the absence of a definitive answer, because nobody really knows where they come from, enables people to look more deeply within themselves, but also at the same time at the universe around them with new eyes. And I think that is a real gift wherever this mystery is really coming from.
That's right. And what is appealing to you? Is it the mystery of the origins of these circles, or is it like the allure of the geometrical patterns and almost the sacred geometry to many of these patterns?
Well, I think it's a combination. I mean, obviously, the patterns themselves are so astonishing that really they do act as a honey trap. There's very few people who are not going to in some way be moved by some of the extraordinary designs that we've had over the years. But I think for me it's more than just that. I think obviously the exquisite geometry of some of them is very important. But when you look at some of the other things like the biological anomalies that they have found over the years inside the plants, which cannot be replicated by man-made formations, and then you look at the other things like you have eyewitness testimony, people have watched crop circles appearing within seconds before their eyes, and people who've seen strange lights and had experiences which, really cannot be the result of just something mundane. I think this is when you realize that we're dealing with a very multi-layered mystery. It seems that every time you think you're getting some kind of answer to something, all you do is just reveal more mysteries. And I fully appreciate that obviously some crop circles are man-made, because some people, they accuse crop circle researchers of refusing to see that some of them are man-made. Well, I think everybody accepts that. Nonetheless, the reality is there are a large number of formations over the years which just cannot be explained so simply. So I think it's the mystery, it's the many different qualities to them, their beauty, of course, and the symbolism and what people think they may mean. I mean, we've had very clear astronomical diagrams in the fields over the years, some of them showing dates and times which, when those dates and times have arrived, have coincided with unusual and unpredictable celestial phenomena. So some people even think that what's going on here even has the power of prediction. And many of these crop circles have also alluded to ancient calendars, things like the Maya calendar, and have also had direct connotations to the year 2012, which of course many people believe, based on ancient prophecies but also modern predictions, that some extraordinary changes might be occurring to our planet. And we're seeing that reflected in the shapes we're seeing in the fields too. So all of that very much speaks of these things being, very much signs of our times, as people have called them. And I think that's a very apt description.
Yes. What would you say, or do you think that there's any kind of clear distinctions between some that seem to be man-made then and others, that are, by whoever or whatever that makes these other patterns?
Well, I mean, I think you have to look at a number of different levels. I mean, number one is when you see man-made formations being created for television programs, and of course we've seen much of that over the years, it is clear that many of these designs made like that take a lot of effort. But the interesting thing is certainly in all the known man-made designs that, our team has visited over the years, if you get down on your hands and knees and look at the crop, you can usually see where it's creased, it's damaged, it's exhibiting signs of mechanical force being used. And yet we've been into so many designs where that is not visible at all. I mean, young green plants, for instance, when the crop is quite young, now they have a sort of bloom, a silvery dust that grows on the stem. Now, you only have to stroke that even lightly with your finger and you will remove it. And yet we've been in so many formations where there's no sign of scuffing or creasing or any removal of that bloom. And many designs appear on nights of rain when it's wet and it's muddy. And again, if you walk in a wet formation, you basically tread wet mud all over it.
Yeah.
But again, we have entered many new formations in wet conditions, and there's no sign of this. So I think the physical examination of the plants is obviously very important. And as I mentioned before, there have been people who have tested the circle-affected plants, people like William Levengood, but also Eljo Hasselhoff in the Netherlands, who have shown without any doubt that there are changes occurring, which no man-made formation has ever created. So I think it's when you start to look at this evidence and then you put it together with the eyewitness testimony that you can begin to get some sense of whether or not a formation might be more likely to be genuine, as it were, or man-made. But obviously, at the end of the day, we cannot know for sure unless we were there while it was being created. And given that, the interesting thing is, contrary to the view that's often put around that the majority of them are known to be man-made,
Yes.
actually it's the other way around. The majority of them are a complete mystery. And we can only show that a very small percentage of them are absolutely known to be man-made. The rest are simply an unknown quantity. And of course, it's that mystery that keeps the intrigue around crop circles going on, and it's already begun this year. We've already had 3 or 4 very nice formations in the rapeseed that we have here, the bright yellow plants. And so once again, it's begun, and already you have people discussing them, and every year the fields produce these strange puzzles which immediately inspire people, and they, as I say, they tend to have this ability to make people see things from a different perspective and makes them sort of reach for higher aspirations. And I think that if that's all they do, wherever they come from, it is an achievement in its own right.
Well, exactly. Good point. I mean, in one sense, does it matter who makes them really? What is important is how they affect us and how people are well drawn into their beauty in many cases, right?
Well, yes, I think that's quite right. And it's long been said, well, does it matter? I mean, certainly those who believe the crop circles are messages from some higher force. Now, they would argue it does matter. And one of the arguments against man-made formations has been, well, what they're doing is, if you like, they're polluting the code. They're not coming from that same source of sort of high inspiration, in their view. So therefore, we must distinguish between the man-made ones and, shall we say, the mysterious ones. Otherwise, we could be in danger of being misled. But I think in general, I would say it's got to the point where the fact that it just simply keeps itself going, this strange mystery, in itself, it just creates this level of questioning, this journeying of the mind that I now think is likely to perpetuate itself for quite a long time. And I suspect we are now dealing with a blend of formations from, shall we say, elsewhere, and a blend of man-made formations. Now, obviously, which percentage you choose, whether you want to think that most of them are man-made or most of them are not man-made, I think it's very much an individual decision. And I think it comes down to each individual's assessment of the evidence. But I think getting people to the evidence is the key thing. And one of the things that I've concentrated on in the last few years very much is to deliver that evidence to people.
Yes.
So that they can make up their own minds. So whether it be in a lecture or the books I've written, if you can show people rationally presented evidence of why there is a case to be looked at here, I find that most people in the end will say, yep, I can see that there is more to this than I thought. And then